Hi guys, Darth Deuces here, back with another McFarlane Toys action figure review. Today, taking a look at something I was very much looking forward to. I'm very curious to see how this turned out. It is the McFarlane Toys Elite Edition Fallout T-60 Power Armor. A mouthful, I know. Technically based on Fallout 76, I guess, which I think is kind of funny. Not the game I was expecting them to base their figure on. 76 wasn't the most popular Fallout, although once they did a lot of changes and did better updates, I actually really enjoy Fallout 76. I put a lot of hours into that game. Don't play it much now because once you get to the end game, there's not a whole lot to do. But I really liked it, and the T-60 armor is exactly the same that game as it is in Fallout 4 or the show. I'm just surprised they didn't market this as from the show or from the Fallout 4 game, which I would say both are probably more popular than 76, but I don't know. Anyways, again, it is another Elite Edition figure from McFarlane Toys, which means it is pretty expensive. I have bought one Elite Edition figure before, that being the Doomslayer from Dark Ages. I have reviewed that. If you want to see that, it's on my channel. But I was disappointed by that figure. It was too expensive and didn't improve stuff on the previous Doomslayer. But I have been wanting proper articulated Fallout figures for so long. Outside of like the really expensive 3-0 Power Armor figures, we don't have much. Funko randomly years ago tried to do did a couple that were okay. I will do a comparison with the Power Armor that they did. But I'm super excited to be getting some actually hopefully decent Fallout figures, although they will be at a more premium price point, which is a bit unfortunate. Really excited for the Elite Edition NCR Veteran Ranger coming out. That's like a dream figure. I wanted someone to make. Anyways, quick look at the figure in the box. It's in that Elite Edition box with the, the Elite Edition on the side. Fallout figure on the front with all the, or most of the accessories clearly displayed. You've got kind of the Fallout 76 logo there. This is number 3 in the Elite line. I think the previous ones would have been the Doomslayer and then the Lilith figure from Diablo. Then just another generic 76 image with a few of the other Power Armors from that game. But there's not really much else to talk about with the box, so I'm gonna get this cracked open and we'll take a closer look. Okay, now I got the figure out of the packaging, and I gotta say I am actually pretty pleased with this. Whether it's still worth that Elite price point can be argued. I would say it's probably still a little too expensive. Even $10 cheaper I think would have been a bit better, but still, in a lot of ways, this is exactly what I wanted from a more affordable Power Armor figure. I think the proportions look pretty good. The paint detailing is decent. I would have maybe liked for the gray to be a bit more metallic looking. It's just a more flat, like gray instead of like a metallic steel color. But I think the flat gray works okay. It doesn't look terrible. And pretty decent spread of accessories. But taking a closer look at the T-60 here, got the helmet, which looks really good. You do have paint in for the lenses of like the headlamp, a little bit of paint there on this little eye thing. I do wish this rotated because they don't always have this little, I don't know, targeting thing down all the time. It would have been nice for that to be a movable piece, so that's a bit unfortunate. But the pipes are not removable, but they are painted. The visor lenses is painted as well. I think it looks decent. Could have been like a little glossier looking, I guess, to make them look a little more like actual lenses, but it's not too bad. The entire figure has like this reddish brown and some black dry brushing and wash to give it a weathered look, which I think looks decent in most places. It's a little heavy-handed here and there, like on the torso. I think it's a bit too heavy-handed, but I guess it's better than nothing. A good amount of sculpt detail. You've got sculpt detail like the pistons and the joints and the shoulders there, under the shoulders. The back bit here, you've got the little thing they rotate to open it up. You do have the fusion. Oh, I can't remember what it's called. It's been so long since I played. It's like the little fusion reactor thing they put in to power weapons or power the Power Armor. This would have been cool if it was a removable accessory, and also it should have been painted because it's supposed to be, the cap is supposed to be red, and they should have made it removable so you could slide it out and have it as an actual separate accessory. I feel like that's a little bit of a missed opportunity there, but still cool. You got some painted detail for the hoses there. For some reason, you can actually remove this back piece. I have no idea why, because it's packaged with it on. unless they plan to do like a cheaper release and to make room in the packaging, they need it as a separate piece. But I guess for whatever reason you can remove that, but there's no real reason to. Luckily, it snaps in really nice and securely, so no problem there. The rest of the armor has got all this brown and weathered wash, which looks pretty good. And then underneath where the movable parts are, it's the gray, which I think looks nice. This more dirty white for some more painted detailing to differentiate. The hands look pretty good. I guess you could maybe argue they look maybe a little small, but I think that's decently accurate to the game and the design of the armor, honestly. The midsection has some nice detail with all like these hoses and hydraulics and whatnot. A little bit of red detailing there. The ribs section looks good. And then the big legs, very large, but look really nice. The proportions are good. I like them a lot. The feet look good. But as again, you can see the weathering feels a little inconsistent. You've got like the normal like little like brown wash all throughout the figure, looks good enough. But then you have these more heavy-handed like reddish brown, I assume to like simulate dust and dirt. But they're just kind of like splotched in specific areas like the lower torso, the knees, the feet. It looks okay. What the heck is that? A little piece of paper. It's better than nothing. I like this over just being clean. But I feel like it could have been executed a little better. The figure does have some nice soft plastic or I thought these were soft plastic. They're actually not. These hip spots actually aren't as soft as I thought they were. Huh. There are some spots like these pieces here in the front of the ankles are softer plastic, so they'll get out of the way. I thought these hip pieces were soft plastic, but they're actually not, which could be a bit unfortunate for or it is going to be a bit unfortunate for articulation. But I think it looks great, honestly. Like I said, this looks pretty much like how it looks in the game and in the show. Paint maybe could be a little better in some areas, but still, I don't hate it. Looks pretty good. Articulation wise, you have like a ball joint in the neck, which because of the design of the armor, it's not going to be like super crazy posable, but I think you get a good range at the head. It rotates fully. You can get a little bit of pivot, a little bit of up and down. The shoulder pads are on like a double ball joint technically, I think. They actually have a decent range of motion, so they'll get out of the way. There's a ball joint at the shoulder. If you do move it too far, it will pop out, but you can get it about fully out, which is pretty good. Even with the shoulder pad getting out of the way, that works pretty well. There's no butterfly joint, which I don't hate because it would be hard to have that functional and not have to compromise a lot of the design of the armor. There's actually a swivel bicep, which is pretty cool to see. I would have assumed they would have just relegated that to the elbow joint, but they didn't, and it's a pretty nice, kind of almost ratchety joint there, which is cool. Single hinges at the elbows, but you can get them to go pretty much 90, both of them, which, you know, no excuse for the Doomslayer. This figure is bulkier, way bulkier than the Doomslayer, and it's able to get a deeper bend in the elbows and have proper arm rotation, and that figure wasn't able to do it. Very crazy. And then the wrists are attached, I think, via ball joint. They do actually have the universal, you know, McFarlane joint that you're used to seeing. The only problem is that it's receded into the huge gauntlet, so you're not going to get a ton of up and down or in and out motion, but it is there. Again, another thing the McFarlane toys, the Elite Doomslayer can do for some reason, there's a ball joint in the torso there. It crunches forward just a bit, doesn't really go far back because it hits the back of the armor. A little bit of pivot, mainly getting rotation there. Ball joint at the hip actually kicks out decently far. Because of these long, elongated hip pieces, unfortunately, there's not a crazy wide spread. It's not terrible, but it's they did actually give it some gappage around the joint to be able to accommodate it more. But yeah. I don't think there's a thigh swivel. They could have done that easily. There's a little bit of rotation at that hip joint, but I'm a bit hesitant to move it a whole lot. It doesn't seem the most solid. Then you do have a single hinge at the knee, which is pretty cool because it's pretty much seamless. I like how they sculpted that to look like that when it's bent. Although I am noticing a problem that there is no swivel at the knee, which might cause a little bit of issue with poseability. Hard to say. but that actually works pretty decent. Again, I actually think that's a deeper bend than the Doomslayer can do, which is crazy. And then there's like a ball joint at the ankle, so that goes up and down like so, and you actually get a fairly reasonable ankle tilt, so that's good. So the posability is honestly not too bad. I didn't expect like a big bulky power armor to be super crazy posable, because they're not, even in in universe, you know, they have their limitations. But it's not too bad. Now in terms of accessories, because this is Elite, it comes with a bunch of stuff. You do get your Elite Edition points. I just got hit with I imagine this is the lowest you can get, which is 50 points. I actually got one of the higher ones with my Doomslayer. I got like 300 or 250 or something, which is pretty good. But yeah, 50, you know, the Elite points, I'm still not 100% sold on them, but there is some stuff you can get for not a whole lot of points. They have one of the weapons packs, although I would argue it's the worst one, because the one with the weird paint on the weapons. Do get your collector's card, Elite Edition. I am just kind of disappointed. It's only just the Fallout 76 picture, and then the write-up is just for the Fallout 76 game rather than the actual armor. They should have done it like a technical readout of the armor. I think that would have been cool. But yeah, you get your card. Then you get your display base, which you don't really need with this figure, but you know, you always get them. And I do like the Fallout 76 logo there. Very cool. You get your hand options, so you get quite a few on him. Out of the box, you have a left trigger gripping hand and a right fist. You get a left fist to make a pair. You get a right trigger hand to make the pair, and then you get a left kind of open dynamic hand / for supporting other weapons, and then a pointing hand. So that is pretty cool. You get a decent array of hands. I am going to swap the right hand for the trigger hand. They're on very thick pegs, so you don't need to worry about that, but not too hard to swap, so that's good. I'm gonna swap the other one too, show that. That's the peg there. And you do have a hinge there. It's just really actually quite tight, so it's tough to manipulate. Jeez, and I'll pop in the left open hand just so we can show off some of the accessories. It then comes with a fair amount of weapons. Some of them make sense, some of them are kind of strange. You get like 4 different like handguns. So the first one is the like power armor specific handgun, which I think only appeared in the show. I don't actually think this is a weapon you can get in the game, but maybe you can. It's been a little while, I haven't played in a while. But this is very cool. If it isn't, it's only exists in the show. I'm still glad they included it, because I would say it's relatively iconic from the show. And then we can see if we can squeeze it in his hand here. Yep, he holds that pretty good, no problem. Take that out. He also comes with the big ass plasma pistol. It has some nice green paint on it. All the weapons have like the silver brushing too, which is nice. Again, I assume it's not going to be... He holds this pretty well too, and looks pretty good. You also get the laser pistol. A lot of pistols, which is really weird, because pistols aren't really the weapon of choice. At least I would say most players use for power armor. But this looks good. I like that they painted the little energy cap, energy cell there for the pistol, although they should have painted the midsection green. Also, they didn't sculpt any detail at the barrel. It's just flat. That looks really weird. Don't know why they did that. An odd accessory is they include the alien blaster from the game. This is a weird one. I don't know why they did this, just for something unique, I guess. You know, it's not a bad... It's sculpted and painted pretty well. It's just really odd to include the alien blaster with power armor figure. It would have made more sense maybe if they did a Vault Dweller and just included some random weapons. That would have been okay. This one's a little weird for power armor, I feel. Another one that's weird for power armor is you get one melee weapon, and it's the ski sword from the game. It's actually detailed pretty nicely. You got a grip in gray, the blue for the blade. You get the whole writing and everything, ski-o-matic, soft landing, and then the clip where your boot would go in. So it's kind of it's a fun accessory. Just really, again, really random for like a power armor figure. but again, holds it pretty good. Then you get two larger weapons. I think this is the flamethrower, the big flamethrower or incinerator. I can't remember. It's been a while. It's large though. Has some nice painted detail, some nice brown wash to bring out all the sculpted detail, make it look a bit worn and used, which is cool. Then the capsule with the gas is painted red. I will attempt to get him to hold it, because one weird part of the design is it has no foregrip. There's nowhere to kind of hold it from the... So this might be a bit of a difficult one to get the figure to hold. Yeah, I don't really know what they were going for here. Let's see if I can pose him a bit. I think you kind of want to... I don't really know what the heck you want to do here. I can't... Let me bend the elbow a little more. Okay, so there you go. You can kind of fake it. You can bend the arm enough, and then you get the kind of like the thumb there to balance on that pose or whatever that is. You can kind of fake the two-handed pose, and it looks good. That is how the power armor mostly holds it in the game. But if the weapon in the game model doesn't have a foregrip, I would have been okay with McFarlane Toys taking some liberties there and just giving it a foregrip to make it easier for the figure to hold, because that's a little silly looking, or silly in functionality. But once you get it there, it does look good. So I like that. And then lastly, probably my favorite of the weapons, because one of my favorites in the game to use. You get this big ass MG42 machine gun, which is oversized. This is like not the scale. This should not be this big compared to a normal figure, but it works fine enough for the armor. It has some nice paint on the grip, and I'll get them to hold it, I hope. Two-handed pose. Again, you can kind of get the hold up by the drum mag, I guess. Two-handed pose is a little tough, but with the open hand, you can kind of fake it a bit. But because there's so much going on there, it's gonna be, the chest is so wide, the arms can only go so far across. But that's pretty cool too. I like that quite a bit. So yeah, not a bad spread of accessories. I mean, I will say that I think there could have been some other options. The assault rifle that is common in Fallout 4 and 76, as well as was the gun that I think what Titus had in the show, would have been nice to include. I would have really liked to have seen a minigun or a Gatling laser. I feel like that's a pretty common weapon for power armor to use, and kind of weird they went with the flamer instead. Not that that accessory is bad. It might be more of a personal preference thing, but it does seem kind of odd. But now, not too much else to talk about except for some quick comparisons. So first off, with, I would say, a relatively standard size 7-inch McFarlane figure, here is the new Deathstroke. And I think the size difference is decent. The power armor is taller than standard figure and definitely a lot bigger and heftier, which is good. I would say the scale's about there. Power armor isn't that much bigger than a normal human. Like, their feet would be about there, their hands would be about there. So I think that more or less matches up. So that's cool. And then here he is with Funko's attempt way back when with the old Fallout 3 T-45 power armor. It's worth noting that this is 6-inch scale, and it's also based on the old Fallout 3 model for power armor, where it's just some heavy armor you put on, not the whole like endoskeleton kind of frame system they started using in Fallout 4 and onwards. So it's a bit slimmer, older looking, or yeah, slimmer looking, smaller looking. And I still like this figure, but it had, it was 6-inch, it was kind of small. He only came with the laser rifle. Articulation's not fantastic. Proportions weren't great. I didn't like how the shoulders were. I think people had issues with joints breaking because for whatever reason Funko used clear plastic for their joints. Stuff like that. I do really like the silver paint though. I think the new power armor would have looked really good with a like gunmetal-y, like a dark silver gunmetal-y sort of color. But still a vast improvement over what pretty much the only other option you had for an articulated power armor figure, unless you wanted to get the really expensive 3.0 figures. But overall, I'm actually pretty happy with this. It Elite Series, I'm still kind of on the fence for. Like I said, Doomslayer wasn't really worth it. I would say I still struggle to find the value of this at full price. The paint, I think for the price, the asking price, which in Canada is $70 before tax, this could have used more paint, like that silver or gunmetal I'm talking about. I think maybe a couple other accessories, you know, would have helped to justify that price a bit more. However, I do think this is a much better Elite Series release than the Slayer was. And, you know, it's one of pretty much your best option for a Power Armor figure unless you want to go the 3-0 route, which is way more expensive. So if you're a Fallout fan and you really want a Power Armor figure, I 100% recommend this. It's a good one to get. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you think down in the comments below, and I'll see you all next video.